Hi, I'm David Piercy, and welcome into video number 5 on my tribute to Jimi Hendrix YouTube channel. Now today I am standing on Nashville's Music City Walk of Fame, which is located in the garden behind the Hilton Hotel, directly in front of the Country Music Hall of Fame, and adjacent to the Schermerhorn Symphony Center. Now the Walk of Fame honors those who have made contributions to Nashville's musical legacy and its rich history. And there's a lot of names that you would expect to see there, like Hank Williams Sr., Chris Christopherson, Alan Jackson, Dolly Parton. But there are some rock and rollers in there too. Of course, there's Elvis Presley, who cut some sides for RCA back in the 50s. Steve Winwood, who has a home here and really credits Nashville and the South for kind of getting him to go back and explore some of the roots music which inspired him in the first place. Of course, Jimi Hendrix, who came here in the early 60s after he got out of the Army at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and played the clubs around here and struggled. And in his own words, Nashville was where he, as he said, really learned to play guitar. And the subject of this video is Little Richard. There was a thriving R&B scene in the late 50s, early 60s in North Nashville in the Jefferson Street area. And Little Richard was here quite often, played a lot of shows here. And Jimi was in fact an apprentice in his band, probably, as by Jimi's own account, about 6 months. And he recorded with him in the studio. They did a series of shows back and forth across the country. After those series of shows, Jimi claimed that Richard did not pay the band for about 6 weeks. So by all accounts, to this day, Richard still owes Jimi several $100s. Richard did not really treat the guys in his band very well. He would fine them or dock their pay for any little infraction. If Jimi wore a brightly colored shirt, played guitar with his teeth or behind his head, he would dock his pay. And I think that sat not too well with Jimi, even to the end of his life, because at one point Richard tried to get into one of his shows. They wouldn't let him in, and Richard said,
"He's always wanted to be this big star, but you know, I never got a chance to see him after he made it. They would never let me come back." I said, "Why? What did I do?"
But I think if he would think back, he could figure out why. Now, Richard got his start in '08. And I had a photograph of Richard and Jimi on stage together from the mid-'60s. And I thought, how cool would it be to try and give this to him and get him to sign my copy, and also give him a copy of the footage from Night Train, which is Little Richard's band at the time, the Upsetters. And if you can go on YouTube and see that, it's the earliest known footage of Jimi, and you can see on the drumhead Little Richard and the Upsetters, because they would play a couple of 2 or 3 songs before Richard would come out. And you can already see Jimi starting to do his thing, elbow over the neck of the guitar and 2 hands on the neck and so on and so forth. But through my connections at the Musicians Hall of Fame, where I do some work, which is another place you should visit if you're ever in Nashville, I was able to get with the promoters of the event, show them the picture, and they said, "Oh yeah, he'll want a copy of that." So I was told to stand over here in a certain spot, and he would see me when he got through. Well, he came out dressed in all of his finery, full makeup, big hair, got up in front of the crowd, did his shtick. "I'm the originator, I'm the innovator. If it wasn't for me, wouldn't be no Michael Jackson, wouldn't be no Jimi Hendrix, wouldn't be no Prince," and did his thing. And they threw him into a golf cart, whisked him away. He went right past me, and I thought, well, I guess this is going to happen. So he was surrounded by people at the end of the sidewalk, and he also had some very large bodyguards, very large black guys in 4-length leather coats, dark glasses, earpieces, and one of them jumped up on a wall, pointed at me, and said, "Let him through." So the sea of people parted. I walked up, approached Richard. I called him sir because he's only a couple years younger than my dad. And I gave him the picture and shook his hand, and he said, "Oh, I remember that." Well, probably not. But he was nice enough. He signed the picture. I told him about the footage. I gave him the DVD I burned. And being an ordained minister, he signed the photograph to David, God Cares, Little Richard. And I stepped back, and he was on his way. So that was my encounter with Little Richard. As far as I know, he still lives here in the Hilton Hotel, and still owes Jimmy several $100. But that's the story on video number 5. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on video number 6. Check out the website, JimiHendrixOnline.com.